What's up guys, and welcome back to Naylor Racing. Last week we put it out on our socials for any questions that you wanted to ask us, and today we're going to answer those questions. And we also have a little special guest.
Hi, my name's Alicia. I am the driver of the Denani Hot Shots Modified Dragster for Naylor Racing.
The first question is, what got you started and how did you get interested in drag racing? So for myself, I've been going to the drag racing since I was a really little kid, like I'm talking like 6 or 7 years old. I was going with dad and mum, and even my little sisters and brothers were going. We started at Ravenswood. I was watching Dad race his XYGT at the time in Super Street, where he won a few decent events, like even before I knew the novelty of how good they were, like Western Nationals, Golden States, and racing all over the country with that car. It got me pretty interested in it. Like I just wanted to be a part of it and have my own car. And then Junior Dragsters came out, and then I was really interested in getting a car before I was allowed to drive a street car. Endless years of nagging, I got myself a Junior Dragster and basically started racing on myself. But yeah, getting me interested, it was my dad for sure. Like he was racing before I was even born, and like the way he drives is actually so good. Like you have to see some of the videos. Like he gets loose, doesn't lose his cool, keeps a car in track, does some drive jobs I wouldn't have even thought of to do myself, like getting on the throttle when it's facing the wall and stuff like that. And it's just crazy to see how good my dad actually is as a driver. I'm just beneficiary that I can get some of the tips and stuff that he's learned along the way and sort of add my own from things I've learned as well. Like even driving the car I have now, like there's some stuff of my dad driving that car and it's actually crazy. Some of the stuff you see him go through and like how he gets loose, how he drives the car, like how he deals with adversity. Like a lot of where we come from is stuff my dad's learned and picked up along the way, and I wouldn't have that any other way. He's honestly the biggest inspiration to this family racing, and it's just awesome to have him around still.
As most of you would know, we come from a racing family, so Dad was racing before I was born, so naturally we kind of all got involved with it when we were pretty young. We really loved the sport and we wouldn't change it for anything else.
What is your best pump up song on the way to the track? So these I have to listen to in my headphones because I would be the only person in my family that likes the music that I listen to. The song that I play a few times on the way to the track would be Jumpsuit by 21 Pilots. Just the rocky nature of that song, it really gets you going and just gets me pumped up for the day that we're about to have. So yeah, that's my pump up song.
My favourite pump-up song on the way to the track is Swing by Savage. It's a bit of a race ritual. It plays in my headphones all day long.
What are your biggest superstitions on race day? For myself, I don't really have any superstitions on race days. Like, I mean, I try and do the same thing all the time, but like I don't really have any superstitions. What I do dislike on race day is stress and rushing. So you'll find on race day, I'll be here on a Monday, Tuesday, packing all the things I need, my race gear, boots, helmet, all that sort of thing, license. I'll have all of that ready, all put together, and it'll all be in the trailer ready on Thursday. And I'll try and have everything I need all ready in the trailer for Thursday. So all I have to do on Friday, go to work, come home, and basically we can just hitch up the Ranger and head down to the track. So it's stress-free. We're there a day early. We don't have to rush on the Saturday. We can just get up, have a breakfast, warm the cars up, head out to the track. So I don't really have superstitions. I'm just really against stress on race day.
I have a couple of race day suspicions. First one being that the left glove always goes on before the right hand glove, and that once I'm strapped into the car, I'm strapped in. I will not get out even if there's an oil down.
If you could race in any bracket, what would it be and why? I pretty much would love to race in a bracket called Competition Eliminator. I don't know why, but after I started junior racing and seeing all our friends at the track and stuff like that, for some reason competitions caught my eye. Basically, just the variety that you get in that class. Like you can race, like one of my friends has got a rotary RX-7 and you're racing against a blown Chevy. Like just the variety you can have in that class. And you can, I've always liked the idea of running like a naturally aspirated car in competition, running like blown cars and stuff like that. I've seen a few of them races and those are always cool to watch. Like when you see a blown car chasing down like a little altered with a naturally aspirated small block in it. Like that would be the class I want to race in. If there was a chance I could do it, I would. Unfortunately, with the engine and combo we have with my car, I'm pretty limited to modified, so I can't really do it. But if there was a chance to do it, I definitely would.
If I could race in any bracket, it would be Top Fuel. I think that's a great step up to go from a dragster into another dragster. I think they're the pinnacle of our sport, along with the Top Fuel Nitro Funny Cars, and I just think they're really cool to watch.
What is your highest 10-pin bowling score? So for those of you that don't know, my family is pretty big on bowling at family dinners or family events. For some reason, we always find ourselves end up going bowling, and it is also super competitive and we don't know why, but we aren't that great at it. I think the most I've ever got would be around like the 150, 180 in that sort of range. And it was a night when I was like having the best night. But normally I'm about a 100, 120. Like we aren't that great. But one thing you need to know, like dad is super competitive at it and he'll put bets down on who's going to actually win, and 90% of the time it's him. So that's a question you're going to have to ask my dad if you see him.
I like to think I'm pretty good at bowling, but I'm probably really not. I couldn't even tell you what my high score is. Just know that it's really hard to beat Dad.
Will Mike Naylor ever get back into a race car? Now, this question we've floated amongst ourselves a lot. Like he used to drive this altered behind me and did a killer job at it with very little experience, when he basically, his first car was a Capri racing in Super Sedan, then just stepped out of the blue and brought this altered. So it's a weird question. Like you ask him and some days he doesn't want to do it at all, and then you ask him other days and he's super keen on it. Myself, I would love to see him get back in my car and drive it when it's running properly and correctly in going fast in the top end and stuff like that. I'd love to see it. However, I don't think he's got the interest to even want to get back in a car. I think he likes seeing me and Alicia race, and I think that's basically going to be it. If there's a chance we can get him back in a car, it'll happen. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case. But you never know. Never say never.
If you have a look back at one of our recent videos on YouTube, you'll see that Dad would love to get back in the car, and he'd even take over for me and race because we're very terrible apparently. So that would be cool, but I don't think you'll see him back in a race car, unfortunately.
The next question is biggest highlight and biggest disappointment. So for me, the highest highlight would have to be the Western Nationals win in 2020. Racing that event, there were so many things that went wrong, but there's so many things that went right that got us the win of that event. Like when we qualified, we raced a car, which I ended up racing in the second round. And with the increments, he beat me to every single box except for the finish line block. So knowing that I was faster in the very top end, I raced him in the second round and I had a problem with the car after having a pretty average first round. And he backdoored it thinking that I was going to come around him again, but I didn't, and luckily he broke out, so I got the win on that race. But like I feel like if I didn't qualify the way I did, that race probably wouldn't have happened. I probably would have gone out in second round. So I think everything was just lucky on that event, and it just all came together, and it was, yeah, I think that was the highest highlight of my career. Biggest disappointment, it's hard to say. Like, I mean, the car that I race is pretty handy. Like, I mean, when it breaks, it sucks, but like, it's hard to pick a disappointment because like I enjoy racing that much that it's hard to just pick one. Like there was a time I went to Queensland and I had my car shut off, and then we tried to restart it and that didn't work, so we didn't get to race. And that was in the semi-finals, I think, and there was 98 cars racing. But like, I mean, I had such a great trip. I don't think you could call it a low light. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to pick a really low light in drag racing. I mean, like, going out there is just the enjoyment of the whole thing. So even a bad day, it's still a really good day when you overlook at the whole thing. So I don't think there's a certain bad thing that can actually ruin a race day. It just depends. But yeah, for me, I don't think there's any lowlights in my drag racing career. Pretty much all of it's just fun and I enjoy it. And I'm very grateful for it. So I don't think you can pick it just down to one thing.
795 dial in for Reece Naylor. Adam Mundy dialing in with a 731. This is modified thanks to Jarradale Heating and Cooling, and it is coming down to this one. Nobody wants to go into stage.
Naylor is hanging it out, just waiting to set the second set of bulbs off. Burning him down a little bit as well. He's only got a few seconds to really get it sorted. He inches forward. There he goes. We're at full stage. Naylor will go first. Mundy goes second. It's dead even. Dead even reaction times.
0.26 against the 0.29. Nothing at the start line. At the finish line, look how close. It's come down to 5 digits. 7.31.462 for Adam Mundy to pick up the win at 284 kilometres an hour. For Reece Naylor, it's a Reece Naylor picks up the win. What am I saying? 7.95.624, 269 kilometres an hour.
Highlights of my racing career would be back in 2010. I won the Winter Nationals. I was one of only a handful of women to have won that. I won it in junior drag start and was also the first recipient of the Louis Raffasada Memorial Trophy, which was really special, and it sits pretty high on the mantelpiece. Disappointments, every meeting comes with its wins and its losses, but we try to take all the highs with what we can get.
Laziest person during pack up. Now this is a question I've had, and I think Alicia's going to say the exact same answer. I'm going to say Alicia, but it's not due to her just not doing anything. It's more the fact that the race car is at home and she's not here. So when we load up and stuff, it's a 45-minute trip for her to come from her house to here, help load up, and then go to the track. And especially because we do it on a Friday night, normally she's just not here, and I'll just say Alicia because of that. But when we get the car, she loads up and unloads and stuff like that. So there's not really a single laziest person, because Dad's pretty on top of we have to help, otherwise it's just not going to happen. And having the scarce crew that we have, everybody's got to pitch in, and I think everybody knows that. So I don't really think you can single out a single laziest person, but the person that does the least is Alicia.
Laziest person on pack up day, I couldn't say that any day is different, really. Some days everybody helps, some days nobody helps. If you ask Reece, he'll say John Force, which is me. Apparently I'm just the driver and I don't do anything else, but we all pitch in.
What is your biggest challenge on race day? I don't really have too many challenges. I like to keep everything simple with the way the car runs and the way I drive. There's been a few events where the car will throw you a curveball or two, and you simply just have to deal with the adversity, or it's just not going to work. If you lose your head, it's so hard to concentrate. So there was an event where my brake master cylinder broke. The only way that the brake would work in the car is if you pump the brake. If you were trying to push it on slowly, it wouldn't work. So I basically had to change my whole staging routine for the whole event, otherwise it wasn't going to work. And luckily for me, I don't have to use the brakes in the top end of my car. Because it's so light and the parachute takes a lot of the speed out, normally the car will just roll through the corner. So it's not so crucial. It's more the starting procedure I need the brakes for. So I think when they do things like that, that's when you need to sort of worry about challenges. It's more just dealing with adversity and trying to make it work for you. And I think that's probably the biggest challenges you get on race day, is when the car throws you a curveball, you just have to get over it and get through it.
Say there's any huge challenges in particular that we've had to overcome. Obviously every racer knows that, sometimes the car doesn't work, sometimes it does, sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. There's just a lot of ups and downs. I wouldn't say that there's anything that's too greatly difficult to overcome. I guess putting a lot of time and effort into the race cars is a bit stressful, but the biggest thing at the moment is trying to find somewhere for my dragster to fit.
How do you prepare for a race day? For me, it's just get ready, be early, get everything done as early as possible, so then everything's where you need it to be and ready for when you need to use it. So like I said, I've got my gear and everything ready in the trailer on a Wednesday, and basically everything I need is there by Thursday night. So basically Friday, just pack up, get ready and go. So Yeah, just be ready. Like if you're rushing, it just makes everything so much harder. Like if you've got sort of a plan for your race day and then things aren't ready for you or things aren't where they're supposed to be and then you're rushing and finding it, then it makes everything so much harder. And especially when you're trying to concentrate on the start line and you're rushed and you've just got to get there, put your clothes on, put your helmet on, and then go straight out to track and you're not ready for it. That's when stuff gets hard, I feel like. That's why I try and keep everything simple.
I'm pretty lucky. My dad and my brother do a lot of the race day preparations, so really I just make sure that my race suit is ready to go, and get to the track, help unload and get to go racing. Yeah, all the preparation is done by Reese, Braden and Dad, so I'm pretty lucky and fortunate that they do a lot of the work.
What is some advice to new racers? Honestly, just get involved. That's all I can say. Like, you're gonna have to do some research. Obviously, you're gonna know what sort of car you want. You're gonna want to know what sort of combo you're gonna run, and what class you want to run. Basically, I would do all that research first, just so you know what you're buying, and maybe go have a look at some cars and see which sort of car you like. If there's a certain builder you like or a certain sort of area you want to go for, that would be all my advice. Like, because you don't want to go out there and just buy the first car you see thinking it's the best thing ever, and then you go to the track and you see that it's maybe not what you thought you bought. Like, honestly, just research, just know what you want. And yeah, once you're there, just have fun. Like, I mean, I've started in 2 different brackets since I've started racing, and every single time I've done it, we've had just people come in and they want to get to know you, and they're going to help you whenever they can. So, I mean, I don't think you're going to have any problems there. So, I mean, just getting involved would be the hardest part. But once you're there, honestly, just enjoy it because it's some of the best fun you can have.
Advice to any new racers starting out is just get out there and have a go. If you're having fun, you're doing it right. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Like I said, there's a lot of ups and a lot of downs. Just get out there, keep your head up and try to keep going rounds.
How do you stay sharp in the off season? So for me, I do this overboard. I like to stay sharp. So from about 6 months off, probably about 5 months towards the season start, I'll start getting on the practice tree and staying sharp on that. Like, we have a delay box in the altered, so you have to leave off the top light instead of the bottom. So I'll do 250 hits at the practice tree a day, and I'll probably do about 100 of them in the pitch black. So the difference of day and night racing. When it starts getting closer to the season, I'll pull the practice tree from the house and I'll put it in the altered and put it on top of my button, and I'll practice in the altered, and I'll do that probably 5 to 100 times a day. And yeah, it's just overboard really. So, but I like keeping sharp, and when I won the Western Nationals the year that I did, my reaction time is what got me that win. So yeah, I just like to stay on the practice tree as much as I possibly can, and the closer it gets to the start of the season is the more I would be doing that daily. That's just how I stay sharp.
There's not a lot of things that you can do with drag racing to stay sharp in the off season. Obviously, we watch a lot of racing from the States and over East as well, just to keep an eye on what's happening and what's going on. We do have a porta tree, so sometimes we use that, but not very often. And we like to, get around the motorsports, go go-karting with our friends, and, take part in any other motorsport that we can while we're in the off season.
What are your future goals in drag racing? For myself, I think I'd like to travel. There's a few tracks I'd really like to race this car at. Queensland, Sydney and the Bend. Maybe try Alice Springs and Darwin. Funds stop that a lot, and the way drag racing is with the IHRA and ANDRA sort of put together, it's hard to sort of pick and choose the tracks you want to go to. If there was a chance I could travel, it would be awesome, because I had such an enjoyment of racing in Queensland when I was in junior dragster. More Christmas trees. I mean, I got my first one in 2020. I'd like to get a couple more. Like, my little brother has got 2 golds and 4 silvers, I think. Like, yeah, you got to see Braden race. He's a competitor.
My future goals in drag racing are just to stay involved. Obviously, we absolutely love the sport and we want to keep going. I'm sure that we will for many years to come. Love it or hate it, we're around to stay. And yeah, we just keep pushing forward, making big steps as we can, and hopefully doing the best we can.
And that's all we have for you guys. So we'll see you on the next video. Keep an eye out for that one. I'm actually racing a Formula Ford race car at Barbagallo Raceway in Wanneroo on the 20th of June. So very looking forward to that, a different sort of discipline with racing. And also we'd like to announce our first sponsor for next year, which is Always an Adventure Photography, which have come on board, going to help us out with some of the media and some cool photos of the race cars. And who knows, could also be the next photos of the next t-shirts we make. So keep an eye out for those guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
That's a wrap, guys. Thanks for sticking around to see what we had to say. Huge thanks to all of our supporters out there, and a massive thanks to our sponsors for the season that we did have: Denani Hot Shots, WA Suspension, Dave's Automotive, Stewart's Pest Control, Heatwave Visual, Dashing Hair and Beauty, and I'm sure there's a lot of others on there that I've missed, but thank you guys for your support. We couldn't do what we do without you. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
A little bit of a dab. Oh, far out. He's done well. He tries to correct, goes back the other way.
From Barangaroo in Western Australia for Davies Automotive and Redline Oils. 348 cc's on board for Naylor. Phil Stewart, another one of the Western Australians, and I think that was the flag there. And a red line has decided it on the start line. Alicia Naylor takes the win with the 240 reaction time, Rob.